Hello and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. I'm Cat Trans Gamer, and today I wanted to take a little bit of time and explain pretty much vehicle construction. You do vehicle construction in the space plane hangar or the VAB or Vehicle Assembly Building. We're going to go ahead and use the Vehicle Assembly Building because this is where most people are going to spend their time building rockets to send up into space, probes, space stations, stuff like that. This is where they're going to build it. Now, I wanted to tell you basically the controls. If you come down here, this question mark, and you click on it, it'll bring up the help menu, which will tell you all the controls. I mean, if you come down here to editor help, it'll tell you how to sit there and control each individual setting, which if you look, there's a lot of controls. And it does look a little overwhelming at first, but no problem, okay? Because we're gonna go ahead and go through all these controls. And I'm gonna go through them for you. Now, general help, this deals mostly with, overall general, how to move the camera in and out and stuff like that. But what we want to concentrate on is the editor help. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, we've got, in any construction you do, you're always going to start out with the pod section. The pod section is basically your control center. This is where you're going to find robotic controls, manned modules, and whatnot. This is where you're going to build, this is where the Kerbins are going to stay. This is where they control the spaceship from. So we're going to go ahead and start out with a simple rocket. This is typically early on rocket building. You're going to have the Mark I command pod. So we'll go ahead and start, hit X, and it will place it there. Now if I hit X again, it doesn't automatically place it. It gives us the ability to move it around using the left thumbstick. And I can place it underneath, on top. But we can zoom in using L1 or R1 and the right thumbstick pushing up to zoom in, pushing down to zoom out, which is also the same control without L1 or R1 used for the camera. Now, if you hold L1 or R1 and use the left thumbstick and push right, or push left, you go up. You push right, you go down. So this is your basic camera controls for the center. Now, every rocket you need parachutes. Parachutes you're going to find under utilities. And if you're looking at this is a sandbox mode, so I have everything unlocked in this. You gotta scroll down. You can scroll down by pushing the up and down arrow keys, or you can grab this bar and move it up and down using holding X, and moving it up and down using the left thumbstick. But we're gonna use parachutes. Now, you always want to put a parachute on here so you can control your descent once you enter the atmosphere, because you don't want these things coming down at like 200-300 meters per second. The Kerbins aren't going to survive. So there we go. Now, a lot of you are wondering heat shields. There's quite a few different heat shields, and they're designed for different size command mods. But this being the smallest command mod uses the smallest heat shield. And you can just place it. Basically, you move it over to where you want it, and then you hit X, and it places it. Now, to look at stuff, you put your cursor over the item, and you hit circle, and you'll be able to look at individual information on that. And if you notice, on heat shields, you can do HS jettison, not stage jet. Well, if you look down here, these are our stagings that will go up this right side of the screen. Right now we're at stage 0, which has the parachute. Well, let's add the jettison of the heat shield. Now if you notice, you got this, and if you mouse over it, it turns the heat shield green. So if you put your cursor over that, it turns it green. Or if you put the cursor over the heat shield, you'll notice it kind of puts a white box around the stack separator for the heat shield. So that's going to help you find stuff and where it's staged and whatnot. Now to close this, you just hit circle on it, or circle anywhere on the outside. But say you want to keep an eye on this. Right here in this top right hand corner of the window, if you hit that, you can hit circle all you want on the outside and it won't disappear. All you gotta do is push X on that little dot and it locks that menu to the screen. But we don't want that. Now we're gonna go ahead and build up a rocket here. So oh wait. Even though the heat shield has its own jettison, I want to be able to jettison the fuel tanks off the heat shield. So we're going to want to add a stack decoupler. Yeah. The stack decoupler is going to make it so we can separate this fuel tank from the command mod, and then we'll be able to use the heat shield to re-enter the atmosphere. Now if we zoom out here, quick controls. If you hold L1 or R1, say you want to put, I want to put 3 of these fuel tanks on here. If I hold L1 or R1 and push X, it will duplicate. So that way I don't have to come back over here to the fuel tanks. So now let's go ahead and put an engine on this. I want to put the swivel engine. And then I want to make this rocket a little more beefier on initial takeoff. So we're going to come over here and we're going to put the TT38K radial decoupler on this. Now I want to put 4 rockets on this. Okay. Well, to do that, I could sit there and do this, and then move around and place another one if I wanted to place all 4. But I want to show you about this right here. Cycle symmetry count. You can come over here and hit X on this, and it will go all the way up to 8. So you got 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, and then it's back down to 1. Single dot means there's 1, and then right here it says toggle snap. If you see a circle there, snap is not enabled. So what it's going to allow you to do is you can come in here and you can place this item pretty much anywhere you want on the rocket. But if you enable snap by pushing L1 or R1 and hitting triangle, if you notice that now changed from a circle to a octagon. Right. Octagon's 8-sided. I don't remember the name for the 6-sided one. But if you notice, now it kind of snaps as we move it around. And then it's the same thing. If I wanted to put multiples on here, I can hold L1 or R1 and push square. And you notice now there's 8 items being placed. If I hit square again, I'm down to 6, 4, 3, 2, back to 1. Now I want to put 4 of these on here, and I want to put them towards the middle of the rocket, just a little bit there. So we'll go ahead and place them right there. Go ahead and get rid of this one for now. Well, actually, you know what? Before I place that on there, I wanted to duplicate. Oh, no. I wanted to duplicate this because I'm going to utilize the 2 fuel tanks plus the motor again. So we'll just copy that over, so I don't have to go looking for the fuel tank. Place this, and then placing things on these, if you look, it's not centered. Well, if you're having problems with it, hold L1 or R1 and use the right thumbstick, and you can have finer control. Wait, sorry, L1 or R1 and use the left thumbstick. I was wrong. It's the left thumbstick. And you can have finer control over how you're placing the mouse, the cursor, so you can get it in that center section. So that way when you place it, it'll be lined right up with the the decoupler, radial decoupler. So there we go. We now got 4 extra engines on this thing. And we want to aerodynamics, because we want to make things aerodynamically sound. Put nose cones on these. Well, okay, that's fine and dandy, but I want to make this rocket even more. Say you start going for heavy lifting, and this rocket say you're putting satellites on here, and this just doesn't get you into space. Well, you could always go to what's called asparagus staging. Asparagus staging is actually quite nice, and you do that. So we've got this. Now, I'm going to set that there. I want to copy this, and I'm going to make another copy of this. Set it right there. Asparagus staging is basically linking everything into one, so the fuel, as the fuel mixes down, you drop off pieces as the fuel goes down, but you're keeping whatever the last item's going to be to drop off, you're keeping that constantly full with fuel. Now we'll go ahead and grab one of these motors. And there, that should be, yep, pretty well centered. And we'll come over here, grab this one. Try to keep everything at somewhat the same height. Yes. That'll work. So now look at that. Now I've got a lot of rockets on here. A lot of different stages. You know, what's going to happen when. Well, I want all of the rockets except for the center rocket to ignite all at the same time. So we'll come over to staging. So we've got those 4 rockets. We got those 4. But we need these 4 added in. And then we're going to decouple those, then those, and we'll ignite this one at the same time those decouple. So there. Now to do the asparagus staging, you want to use fuel ducts. And what you want to do is find out whichever one's the first one to you're going to separate. So these are the first ones I'm going to separate. So I'm going to take fuel from this, and I'm going to put the fuel into there. And you can see where the fuel's going by the arrows that are on these fuel ducts. So the fuel's going to dump out of here and go into this tank. And then I want the fuel to go from this tank, and I want it to go into this tank. So what we've got going on here is all the fuel out of this rocket is going to get emptied out and drawn into this rocket and then into this rocket. So this one's going to empty out really fast, and then this one's going to empty out, but this one's still going to be full. So as these empty out, we'll be able to drop them off as we go up and up and up. But a thing you're going to notice when you go to do this is your craft's going to flex. Here, I'll show you. Well, actually, you might not see it with this one, so I'll just explain it. What's going to happen is these are connection points, the decouplers, and your craft is going to flex on those decouplers. So you've got this motor's going to flex here, which is going to bring the bottom of it out this way. And then you've got these two, which is putting more force on this, which is going to cause it to flex. And then these are also going to flex coming out this way. Well, to prevent that, you want to use, under structure, or structural, you want to use connectors. And you don't need too many of them. If you basically follow your fuel line, along the bottom, you will pretty much strengthen this. But I want to go ahead and add one on this side. So there. Now these two rockets are not going to flex on this rocket motor anymore. But we're still going to get flexing at this point. So to fix that, what you can do is if you come in here, you can prevent the flexing by connecting all those together. So if you look, you can see that they're all connected through to each other. That's going to prevent a lot of that flexing right there. So if you notice your rocket starts to have problems with stability and you're doing staging like this, you're going to want to put some struts in. Some structural struts to help support and prevent it from flexing. And if you notice, now all the controls we've pretty much already gone through. Let's see here. What haven't we hit? Delete. Oh, yeah, here we go. We'll go ahead and have this item right here, but say we don't want it. We haven't placed it. Well, how can you delete it? Just tap circle and it will automatically delete. Pitch part up. Okay. Directional buttons. This is really nice for when you're doing larger constructions. So we'll bring this down here. Okay. Well, I don't want to put it on there like that. I want to turn it over. We can put it on that way. Or if you're putting these on here, but you don't want to have it sticking out, you want it kind of lengthwise, so it looks like that on the craft. Or say you want it to look like this. You got control over how things are placed depending on which way you push your arrow buttons, your directional buttons. That's how you rotate objects. Rolling parts, L2, R2 buttons. That's mainly used, the easiest one to see that on will probably be this. Now if I zoom in, you can see how it's placed, but if I hit L1 or L2 or R2, it rolls it around the connection point. Reset part rotation is L1, R1, tapping circle. Placement mode. Now, placement modes. Okay. This is best described because I use this a lot in the parachutes. Okay, you've got placement mode, offset mode, rotation mode, and route mode. If you notice, it's long taps. So here, it's talking about these right here. Placement mode, offset mode, rotate mode, and reroute mode. So what you do is parachutes. I do this a lot with the parachutes. I'll place a parachute here, and then I want to move it in. Well, there. I'm able to... all I did was hold L1 and hold circle down for 2 seconds, let go. And now I'm in rotation mode. If I hold down L1 and push square for 2 seconds, I go to offset mode. Same thing with triangle. Hold down triangle for 2 seconds. And there we are. We're now in reroute mode. And what this does is it gives you the ability to change which part is the base part. Because if you notice, your command mod is usually, come on, and this messed up on the reroute. Oh, deleted it. Well, wish there was an undo button, but there isn't. Now, I do want to explain a little bit about the offset and rotate. Your snap mode down here. You're going to want to turn that off. And I'll show you here real quick. Because what I'll do is I'll place 2 of these, one right above the other. Now, offset, if I come in here, and you notice I'm not centered on the craft. So the red and blue arrows are offset a little bit as far as squared off to the part. Well, if I tap that, all I did was just tap the blue arrow. And look how much it moved the part. The reason is because it snapped it into place, because I'm in snap mode. But if I come up to this part, and I'll just tap the blue arrow, it doesn't move. But it does give me the ability to do little movements. And yes, to do the little movements with the part, you have to hold down X and L1 and move the part. Well, that's also holding down L1 and holding down X for a long time is also how you can switch back to place mode. So you got to be careful there. You're going to switch back to place mode a lot, and then if you don't catch yourself doing that and you grab the part, well, it's going to put it right back to where it was. Now you got to do the whole offset all over again. So you got to be careful with that. Another big construction problem, especially in the beginning, is right here, engineer's report. You've got a limited amount of how many parts you can use or how big the object can be based off of if you've upgraded your vehicle assembly building and your launch pad. That's what's going to control what can be launched, what can be built, and whatnot. And the other thing is also right here, it shows issues under design checklist. Right here, warning, parachutes on first stage. Another information, monopropellant container, which is not used because I have no monopropellant controls, which is RCS. RCS thrusters, big issue in rocket construction. A lot of people like to use RCS on your rockets. The only thing you should really be using RCS for is when you're docking, or if you're using it for final controls on landing a lunar module, something like that. RCS is really not that needed because you can do a lot of your controlling with your reaction wheels, utilizing your SAS. Now, if you're doing a really big rocket and you're going to be in space with, say, say you're going to be in space with a couple of these fuel tanks. Well, those are awfully big fuel tanks. Yeah, in that case, RCS might help out a little bit, but you don't really need it, because what you could do is you can always, wrong one, put an extra reaction wheel in to help control the craft. So, different things you can do. RCS is nice, you can use it, but if you don't need it, don't put it on your craft, because that's just added weight and added cost. I mean, for this right here, $620 to put one of these on here. But if you're doing proper RCS placement, you're going to need about 4. So that's 620 Kerbin dollars per. So times that by 4, and there you go. That's how much that just cost. And then you go to your fuel tanks, and these are your RCS fuel tanks. Well, that right there is 3.4 tons just for that one. And that one right there is the proper size for these fuel tanks. And it comes in different sizes, so that way you can put it on different parts of craft. And you also have these ones down here, some more monopropellant. So you can do monopropellant on the sides of the craft. So, common mistakes that I see is right about there. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and oh, there is an undo. Let's see if it will undo deletes. L1 and R1 and left button. Nope, doesn't do anything. Oh well. But if you have any questions, comments, please leave me a comment. If you liked what you saw, please thumbs up and subscribe so you can see more videos. I'm going to be doing more career mode episodes for Kerbal Space Program here soon, and 7 Days to Die, I'm going to keep that going too. So please, hope to see you soon. Bye.